to first let me clarify when I say faith. I don't mean blind faith in hoping for something, but more genuine faith from stuff that you've seen, stuff that you've experienced to where you've been able to actually see the change of God working in your life, of the Father working in your life. And of course, I think that's a big thing that's going on a lot in today's world, especially with all of these different religions and all this false narratives that are going around, is that true genuine faith is no longer a part of the world almost. It's almost as if there's this false faith to where people are just wishing upon a star, and then there's genuine faith that you actually see whenever it comes to seeing the Father show up for you in more ways than you could actually believe, in prove ways that prove that you're on the right path, the path of righteousness, the path of truth. And of course, like I'm saying, it's whenever it comes to faith, we have to be careful because that word has been thrown around so much for so long. And we have to understand the real world application of certain terms. My apologies. And I mean, this is something that's kind of been on my mind for probably a couple of days now. And my older sister is actually the one who brought it to my attention. Shout out to her whenever she does listen to this. Nothing personal, of course. But I've how realizing how counterfeit the world's notion of actual faith is. It's as if people are just kind of wishing for something instead of seeing the real world application for what they are pursuing. Oh yeah, there you go. Walk right into the fire. And even for me, so even at this certain point in my life, I'm moving solely based on faith, solely based on the hope that I've seen firsthand, and I've experienced it actually change my life and change my viewpoint, my perspective, because that is the biggest part of growing with the Father above is the change of perspective, the ability to see the world for what it truly is, see the truth that's in the world that most people try to stay oblivious to. Because, 9 times out of 10, most people are living in a false world, they're living in an illusion that keeps them comfortable, keeps them stagnant and unable to actually grow like they need to or like they should be. Because of course, whenever it comes to playing this game called life and living in this matrix that we live in, if you aren't growing spiritually and becoming self-aware about who you are, why you think things the way you do, why you react the way you do, then you will continue to be a victim to circumstance instead of a conqueror in truth. And that's something that each and every one of us have to realize, is that we are we aren't victims, we are conquerors, but we have to change our mindset in order to see who and what we actually are, and see that we have the power, the potential, and the capabilities to do unimaginable things and to change ourselves, but also change the world around us. And of course, this isn't the message for people who think they got it under control, or for that was definitely a headshot. People who keep on doing things their own way. These are for people who are tired, who are ready to see the change that embodies peace, embodies love, embodies unity. And that's another thing that I've realized as time went along, is that look at there, that's crazy. I didn't think I was gonna get that. Where is my cellular device? But I realized as time went along is that I lost my train of thought looking for this damn tracking device. But okay, so of course, okay, so as I realized, as I've progressed in my own personal walk, I've seen and come in contact with tens and thousands of people. I moved a lot as a kid due to poverty. I always end up changing schools. Ain't no freaking way, dude. Give me, guys. Add a inconvenience that's arising. But I realized through my walk, through dealing with the poor man's life, that most people talk a good talk. Most people will say that they want, peace. They want understanding. They want, lay down, dude. They want to grow and they want to change and they want to help people and this, that, and the third. But if you look at many people's actions, it usually falls short to that. But for those of you who are tired, spiritually tired, who are wore out, heavy hearted, empty, then take heed to what I say. Take notice of what I say, because I was like one of you. I mean, I still partially am, but I'm in the latter end of my hardships. And from what I've noticed, the truly best way to grow, to find growth, to find understanding, to change your own reality is through repentance. So changing your mind, and self-awareness. So understanding why you do what you do, why you react the way you do, why you move the way you do, why you think the way you do. And if you follow that blueprint, which essentially it's like for me, I followed the Jesus Christ blueprint that he laid before us. But if you follow the blueprint of repentance, of renewing your mind, of growing in your self-awareness, then you'll be able to see unbelievable, and you'll be able to experience extraordinary things. But then again, it all comes with self-sacrifice. And then of course, that's where, like I say, that's when you really start building your faith. That's when you really start to see who you truly are, what you're actually capable of, what you can endure for one, because most people can't endure anything. Most people can't change for nothing. Most people can't deal with hardships or deal with any kind of inconvenience. Like I see it all the time on the road. Like you can get in front of somebody driving and they can be, 20 foot behind you, but just because of the fact that they had to momentarily slow down, that inconvenience set them off to where they're now honking the horn at you. And it makes no absolute sense, but just because of the fact that you inconvenienced their life, and I mean, it does make sense because everybody's on survival mode nowadays and everybody's all pent up and, need to learn how to breathe and actually be still in their walk. But because of that lack of, ooh, look at there with the shake too. Oh, shoot. But because of that lack of awareness that everybody has, and because nobody truly understands themselves, they can't understand the external world. They can't see the bigger picture anymore because they're so caught up in the moments of pain, the moments of survival, the moments of hardship, the moments of temptation. And that's why we must learn to detach. We must learn to change in order to embody the change that we want to actually see. And, like I've said before, I was always told as a kid to treat people how you want to be treated. And that is a great way to look at it just because of the fact that most people don't want to be treated like crap. But yet in today's world, everybody treats everybody like they owe them something, like they deserve something, like they're entitled to something. And in reality, that's couldn't be further from the case. Until, of course, you change your way of thinking and you change your perspective, then you can get burnt alive. No, but if you change your way of thinking and change your perspective, you can start to see how truly blessed you are, and then you can start to grow self-aware to the point to where you can embody the change that you've always wanted. You can be the person that you always needed as a child, but the issue is us as humans, it's like we get so caught up in this game of life that we end up forgetting who we actually are, what we're actually capable of, and we lose touch with our childhood self. And returning back to that pure childlike mindset to where you're not tempted every time you see a girl, or you're not tempted every time you see a restaurant, or you're not tempted every time you get some money, or anything like that, any type of physical attachment. Once you get past the point of dealing with those temptations, because they're going to happen nonstop. They're going to continuously keep happening until we can be spiritually strong enough and spiritually aware enough of ourselves to where we can say no. And of course, most people have difficulty saying no nowadays. Most people would rather bend to peer pressure, bend to circumstance, bend to their environment. And that right there is in no way, shape, or form a recipe for success. We have to move and we have to embody we have to become aware of the fact of who we are and that we have the divine spark. That's what consciousness is. Consciousness is the divine spark of God. That is in the truest essence, consciousness is God, because consciousness is self-awareness and God is self-aware. That's how he's omnipresent. That's how he's omnipotent. That's how he's in and around all things inside of his creation. Because even though you have forgotten who you were, there is still that constant observer behind every thought, every emotion, everything that you think of. Everything that crosses your mind is not you, but you are the force that's constantly looking at it. Because if you get deep enough into prayer, into meditation, into working out, there's certain traits that kind of break your body. You'll notice that in between thoughts, you'll have a moment of silence, but you're still there. You're still aware. You're still, it ain't like you stepped out because you stopped thinking. You're still you, and you were still a being of light. And, if you good or bad either way, you're still going to be used by the Father above. But if you choose to do good, choose to follow righteousness, choose to follow truth, choose to follow morals and principles, then you can begin to drop the weights that keep your heart heavy, and you can begin to lose the traumas that are stopping your growth, to the point that you begin to realize who you actually are. You begin to see what you've been missing out. But we have to change our mind because everybody focuses on the lack thereof instead of focusing on the overabundance that we all truly have, especially here in the States. Most people would die to have air conditioner, or die to have fast food, or die to experience all these different things, but instead of being grateful and noticing how blessed we are at times, which it is a blessing, but it's also not, because it's definitely a trap if you're asking me. But if we learn to realize how blessed we actually are, we can change our mind from viewing lack to viewing prosperity. And once you change your mind and change your perspective, you can see it all. You can see everything that you've been missing. You can realize that you are you are the source of your life. You are the source of your potential. You are the source of the creation that's happening in your walk. And everything that we do ties into it. Our emotions, the right part of our brain hemisphere, the left part of our brain hemisphere. We have to connect the mind, both hemispheres of the mind back together, because most people are only operating out of one side, the masculine, the logical, is separated. We have to integrate the intuitive side again, and then after that, we have to be able to become emotionally mature to the point that we can connect the heart and mind, so that way we can become the creator that we was always meant to be. But most people, and even me, not I'm not pointing fingers, but even myself, I struggle with my hope at times. I struggle with my understanding at times. Even though I've experienced miracles and I've seen truth and I have a deep understanding of a lot of things, there's still the flesh side of me that wants to throw up doubts, throw up worries, throw up anything to kind of slow down my path. Because of course, we if you're destined to be different, there's nothing that can really stop it. There's only things that can slow it down. And for me, I can't afford to be slowed down anymore, in a sense. I have to push forward, because there is a unbelievable truth to what I've experienced. There is a remarkable change that I've seen in my own personal life, and how my consciousness operates in comparison to the little boy that I once was. But again, I've had to be the difference, so that way I could see a difference. And of course, you got historical figures like Jesus Christ, like Muhammad, and they're true about what they say, but in today's world, everything has been pushed into a religion to the point to where everybody's worshiping the wrong things. And even me, like man, I swear. But even me, like you can hear at times when I speak, like you can hear the authority behind what I say because I know what I'm talking about. But then also there's times where doubts creep in, where my flesh or my ego kind of tries to take control of the reins essentially. Because again, we all have two versions of ourselves. We have the ego self, or the self that's in the flesh, the part that most people aren't even really aware of. Most people think they are their body when you're not. You're the soul, you're the spirit that's inside of your body. Like if you think you are your body, then try heartbreak. If you try heartbreak, you'll see that pain is a whole different level than the pain of your body. It's different because they're two different parts of the same whole. Now, of course, we have to we have to go through the hardships so that way we can gain the experience, because without gaining the experience, we won't gain the wisdom that we truly need and that we truly have to get in order to grow, in order to have victory. But each and every one of us, we have the potential to focus on the problem, focus on the worry, focus on the problem instead of focusing on the solution. And in every one of our walks, we are and we can be the solution if we just apply ourselves to change, apply ourselves to, I was first? Oh, well. Apply ourselves to self awareness. And that comes through repenting, comes through stepping out in faith, true faith, not hoping upon a star, but, and it's kind of hard to put it to words, but for me, I've come, I've been able to come through certain hardships to the point to where, oh, okay, so I guess I'll just keep that for now. But I've been able to come through these hardships to the point to where I've been able to grow my faith. Like I say, I've always had a hard walk. I've always had, and it's in my personal experience now that everybody is like that. But I've had this difficult walk to the point to where I've always felt isolated and like I was on an island, to the point to where I always had trust issues, always was skeptical. I was weary about who I told things. I still have that habit now. I I would almost I wouldn't change myself, but I would limit myself for the comfort of others. But that's also because I learned people and I seen a lot as a child. But through all of that, I in the process of trying to figure life out, I lost myself because I started picking up all these bad habits from the environment that I was around, of the outside world that was around me. And now it's like after you get to the point where you lose yourself, you have to You have to rediscover yourself. You have to drop any attachments that are of the physical aspect of this life. And I do mean any of them. And now, of course, that doesn't mean you can't love people, you can't love kids, you can't enjoy food and things like that, but you can't allow things to have control over you to the point to where they can take you out of your character, to where they can have power over you. Because that's anything that takes you out of your character has power over you, and that's not a path to success. I knew that was going to happen. I should have had a little bit more patience with that. But you know, I mean, what do I don't know? I'm just not but a visionary. But we have to step out on chance if we really want to grow in hope, grow in faith, grow in understanding. If you stay comfortable, or not even comfortable, if you stay in a place where you're settling, where you're chasing after the wrong things, because anything in the flesh, it will fail you. Guarantee you. I can tell you that from experience. It's going to fail you because of the fact that every one of us, we have spiritual holes, but we keep trying to use these fleshly attachments to try to fill it. And that just, it don't work that way. We have to, in order to fix the spirit, in order to fix the spirit, we have to do things of the spirit. We have to feed it, we have to grow it, we have to nourish it, we have to change it, we have to evolve it so that way we can become who we've always meant to be, and that's creators. But in today's reality, especially in the United States, and everybody who comes here thinks it's all that in a bag of chips, but in reality, everybody here are prisoners. Everybody here is prison, and again, it's the Roman Empire just rebranded. But for each of us, you know, all of these people on all these different walks, everybody is a slave to their desires to the point to where they can't stop themselves if they're hungry. They can't stop themselves if they're horny. They can't stop themselves if they're hungry or drinking. They can't. They want to drink. They can't. They have no self-control anymore, and that is a very big problem with people. Is that we should have self-control, and even like you know, I know some people, and they're like, you know, like, oh, you gotta let people be people, let kids be kids, let this be that, and it's like, I can't. I am a teacher above all else. I am a leader. I'm a difference maker, and you know, you see it all the time nowadays. You see kids who just run over their parents. You see grown-ups who act like spoiled little 4-year-olds, and to me, I can't help but to whine. It's because they have no self-control. They've never had to have self-control because they've been babied. Their crappy behavior's been justified because of the fact that their parent has this attachment to them. You know, that's their baby. They can never do nothing wrong. And it's like, no, that's bullcrap. That's that's a very dumb notion to say the least, just because of the fact that most of us most of us was never taught self-control for one, which is a big problem. Most of us have been doing whatever the impulses have been telling us to do for a very long time. And due to that, We don't have touch with ourselves anymore. We don't have understanding of the self because most people are trying to understand life, and people don't realize that if you really want to understand life, you have to you have to understand the self first. You have to understand who you are, why you think, why you move, what you do. And of course, most most individuals will get blown up by a grenade. Now, most people, wow, twice. And as I was saying, most people will allow their attachments in the flesh to control their whole life, their whole existence, to the point where they will never change, they will never see change, their consciousness will never grow. But that's what I can tell you from personal experience. Mm, I've changed consciously. I've changed spiritually to a point to where it's like it's not that I don't recognize myself, but it's as if I it's like I've been reintroduced to myself because I was living a lie every day in every way. Bars. And for me, I dang, not bad. I know that what I what I've been through is for a reason. I know that what I've seen and what I've experienced has led me to become a man that I was always meant to be. But each and every one of us, we have the tendency to make excuses for why we do what we do, why we think how we think. We make excuses for why we behave the way we do, and there's always something to justify our crap behavior. But once you're ready for actual change and you'll learn to start taking accountability, there will be nothing that can make you alter your plans, because especially after you really start committing to it, because once you really start committing to it, you will see the truth, and once you see truth, you change. You prosper in unbelievable and unimaginable ways. Because even like I've said, I recognize myself because I still have the core of my character. But all these other things that I used to like or used to dislike or used to have problems with, they're no longer keeping me from my potential. They are, man, this damn AC unit work my nerves. But we're able to step out of the routine, because it's like most people, they're in a routine. Most people are just following a pattern to the point to where they do the same thing every single day, and then they're like freaking, sorry, my attention is kind of divided right now. But they're amazed because their life hasn't changed none, and it's like, of course it hasn't. You're doing the same thing you did a week ago. You're doing the same thing you did a month ago, a year ago, and us as humans, we we need change. We need to find who we are and need to find the reason for why we are here. But most of us would rather make excuses and continue to sit in comfort instead of stepping out in faith and abundance. And of course, whenever it comes to faith, it looks different for each walk. Every one of us has different paths with different details that change to change the story up just a little bit. Even though we are all connected, we are all still separated, or we're not. Separation is really an illusion, but until you get through the dualistic nature of the flesh, good, bad, light, dark, things of that nature, until you get past that, you will continue to see life as separation, as hardship, as nothing but these difficulties and everything else. And then after a certain point, you realize that everything happens for a reason, and that it's all meant to, dang it, push you towards growth, push you towards a different outcome. Because for most of us, most people, they know what they're going to be doing for a good while. Most people plan ahead. Most people act like we have every day of the damn, act like we're going to be here for eternity. And we don't realize that each and every one of us has a day where we're going to die. And if we have these fleshly attachments when we die, it is in my research that I've come to the belief that we'll come back to this walk, we'll come back to this realm of prison. Just no, it's yes and no. It's almost as if this realm can be heaven or earth depending on your mindset. So that's why changing the mind is of utmost importance. But also at the same time, we have to take the steps to see that reality. Dude, learn to shoot. But we have to take them steps in life in order to embody the change that we've been craving for probably our entire life. That's most people. That's why we get spiritually tired, is because we're getting shot when you go around every other corner. No, we're getting spiritually tired because we're playing a part that isn't true to our nature. Again, each and every one of us has a character that we've been born into, a character meant to walk a path meant to try us, to test us, to push us to be uncomfortable so that way we can promote growth, because you can't grow unless you're uncomfortable. You can't become the creator that you are unless you let go of the consumer. Okay, that's how I should word it. You can't but become the creator you were meant to be unless you drop the consumer that you are. Because each and every one of us, I mean, every one of us has physical attachments. That's a part of the game. Those physical attachments help you forget who you truly are, and it tires you out to the point to where you get to a certain point to where you'll have to make a choice. And that's the secret to everything. Is It's all about our choices. We can choose to stay the same or we can choose to grow. And after you get tired enough for long enough, you'll have to make a choice to either grow and to change, or to stay the same and kind of sit in your filth in a way. Sit in your sit in the bed that you made. But each and every one of us has the opportunity to create a life worth living, to create a deeper understanding behind this world. But we have to grow in awareness. We have to change our perspective so that way we can change the life that we are living. Because none of us are okay how we are. Every one of us is the problem. But on that note, each and every one of us has the capability to change. It's just most of us have excuses. Most of us have, I don't know, jobs or girls or kids or whatever the case may be. It's just something that causing us to stay stagnant in our spiritual progression. And of course, it's a process. It takes time, it takes patience, and that's how you beat any one of your temptations you can beat through patience. Everything that happens is usually done within the moment. But most of us, that moment is too hard, it's too difficult, it's too trying, it's too, I don't know, it's just too much. And we have to see that us as people, we have to see it to believe it. I know that. 'Cause even me, I've seen unimaginable things. I mean, just getting thrown off a motorcycle going 70 to 80 while also having the momentum of another car going around 70, 80 hit me off. It it changes you. And it can change you in a bad way if you allow it. But and I mean it tried to because I had to relive the wreck through my mind moment to moment so that way I could get past the PTSD that came with the wreck because it will trap you in yourself in a sort of way to the point to where you'll stop growing. You'll stop you'll stop finding who you're supposed to be and who you've always been meant to be. But that's why the trying of our faith is more important than gold, more important than jewels, more important than any possession that we could possibly have. And even me, I'm in a time in my life to where it's like my possessions are getting attacked, but I know myself well enough to where I know I don't care about any of the stuff that I have. I've been fortunate enough to grow up where I was physically poor, so I had to learn that, you know, the good things of life and the peace and the understanding and things like that didn't come with money. But most people worry more about their wealth than they do about their virtues. And that's a very big problem because our virtues is more than everything. Even when in, story of Jesus when he's talking about going through the crowd and the woman who's had an issue of blood comes up and touch you, he stops and he's like, "Who touched me?" He says, "No, I felt my virtue leave me." And that's the eyewitness account that's in Luke. But he says virtue left him. And then the woman said, I knew if I just touched you, I'd be healed. He said, your faith has made you whole. It's all about faith. It's what you already have. You just have to stop being a coward and step out and take the chance. But, and you probably just got butt hurt because I said you could be a coward. But you wouldn't have got butt hurt unless it was true. It's just something to keep in mind. People don't get mad at lies. Usually. Unless they're lying on their character, which is something I used to have a problem with. But most of the time, people don't get mad at lies; they get mad at truth, especially in today's world. But we have to we have to see ourselves for who we really are. That's why even in John chapter 4, verse 23, Jesus says that to not don't worship him, worship the Father in spirit and in truth. You have to come to Him in your spiritual self, and you have to do it in who you truly are. You have to be real with who you are because the Father already knows who we are. He's a part of us, He's all around us. He sees us every day in every single way possible, in ways that we don't even realize and that we can't even comprehend. But He sees us every single day, and He sees us in every single way, bars, and we have to be honest so that way we can accept us for who we are. We can accept the reality. We can see it. We can see the world for what it really is. Because most people, again, are living in an illusion. Most people's lives aren't real. Most people's lives are built on lies, built on deceit, built on manipulation, built on settling. And the life that our Father above has for us is not based on settling. It's based on fulfillment. It's based around purpose. But most people don't even know what their purpose is because most people's purpose is trying to go get the bag, trying to get money, trying to get women, trying to get drugs, trying to get food, trying to get drinks. Like there's all these different physical attachments that are in no way, shape, or form helping our character development. And our character development matters more than, more than gold, more than silver, more than, I don't know, a PlayStation 5, more than any of this crap. Because everything in the material is temporary. Everything. Everything you see, it's all false. It's all going to let you down. It's all going to lead you astray. But we, as people, have to step out of the consumer mindset and step into the real world. Who said that? Was that KRS-One who made that song? I was gonna make a reference, but never mind. It is KRS-One. And even like I watched a video of him recently where he's sitting there talking, and he's talking about how every breath we take is essentially the breath of consciousness because once we stop breathing, we don't die, we lose consciousness first. So consciousness is all around us in every way, and we have to. Come on, I swear I thought I seen him, but we have to grow consciously about who we truly are, who the character is that we are all, who we that we've been, I don't know, selected or that we've been put into or whatever way that we can put it to terms. Either way, we have to be true with ourselves or we're going to die. And that's the thing about death is you can die a million times before you physically die. There's a saying that's in the beginning of a rap song. Can't think of what song it is, but it starts off with saying a coward dies 1,000 deaths. And we have to think about that because people, we die daily and not in the way that we're supposed to. Most people should die daily to the flesh, to the attachments, to the temptations, to the impulses. But most people die daily in the sense that they can't get the girl that their heart truly wants. They can't get the job that would truly fulfill them. They can't take a leap of faith and actually become and embody the wisdom that they always needed as a kid and that they always wanted. Most of us nowadays would rather point fingers, make judgments, sure as hell make excuses. And it's like you'll never grow that way. You'll never change that way. You'll never step into the blessings that the Father has for you if you keep being a crybaby and punking out of the things that you're supposed to do.
We're winning. Keep it that way.
And again, it's a gradual walk. It's not like he wants you to go dive off a building and then hope to be caught. Like, no, I mean, it's God knows who you are. God knows what you're thinking. Dang, I missed. We missed. And then I died. But so because he knows who we are and what we're thinking, and he sees us from every possible perception for all of those that we come across. He knows where we need to change, what we need to adjust,
Claim the lead.
what we need to do
Enemy
different.
established overhead.
But doing something different is of utmost importance because if we don't do something different, we will continue to experience the same thing. And I don't know about you, after a while doing the same thing gets old. It gets old fast. So fast it's almost as if we are designed to change. Just a thought. Now, of course, I myself, I got my problems. I know that. And I'm working on them. Like, for example, I know I have a little bit of control issues. I'm working on it. I have issues with being social with people. I don't like people, if I'm being honest. People have shown me nothing but why I shouldn't trust them my entire existence. But at the same time, in the same breath, I've seen people people can be these beautifully interesting characters a part of the story who can just change your perspective just a little bit. So like, why come around the corner just to free fire? Like, have some damn integrity. Oh, but for me, it's like I see a bunch of people who lack awareness for why they operate this life the way they do. Why they keep, I don't know which way. Oh shit! So this boy went right. Dang it! Ah! But I see these people who are continuously settling in their life in order to make somebody else happy. But making other people happy, I mean, yes, we should be a servant to help people and to show people a difference in ourselves, but we have to look out for ourselves first. Because if we don't, then hmm, we can't, people can't see a difference if you act like everybody else.
Step it up.
People won't ever even apply themselves to be different if all they see are you making excuses, you saying you're going to do one thing and then doing something else. Like, there's just a lot that goes into it, and nobody's ever fully aware of their actual actions. Nobody's aware of the detrimental outcome that they have on this world and on this walk of life. Each and every one of us, but again, like I say, would rather make excuses. We'd rather, excuse my language, we'd rather bitch and moan instead of pull up our pants and put work in. And again, I'm not pointing any fingers. I was one of the ones who did it. Yay. But also, I I've changed to the point to where now work doesn't shake me. Don't get me wrong, at one time, yes, I was a very lazy individual. I procrastinate all the time. It's the reason why I was a pothead, because I love procrastinating. I wanted to smoke and eat and not do much. And I just realized that I was only hurting myself procrastinating. I only hurt myself when I don't work out. I only hurt myself when I don't tell the truth. I only hurt myself when I lie to people, when I cheat people, when I steal from people, and I don't do these things, or at least not most of them. I do need to work on my discipline when it comes to working out. But most of these things I don't particularly do, just because of the fact that I know that I'm going to be the only one who suffers, and I'm tired of suffering. And if you are like myself, if you can relate to anything I've said, then subscribe, like and subscribe, comment, ask me questions. But if you're tired of suffering, then follow me. Follow what teachers like Jesus Christ said. Follow what teachers like Krishna said, or Buddha. Like, everything is interconnected, and they all promote this same message of love, unity, understanding, patience, virtuous, morally filled, a morally filled life. And whenever you do that, you will begin to experience a life to the point to where you're whole, you're content, because you're living in purpose. But it all starts with stepping out in faith. It all starts with embodying the change. You have to be patient. You have to do something different. But once you do, and you start to take those little steps of faith, you'll see your life and your world change. You will see your perspective of life change. You will see your mind change. You will see that things that used to make you mad, piss you off, take you out of your comfort zone, take you out of your character, they lose that ability to do that anymore, to the point where you're just like, man, okay, it happened. Keep on keeping on. And you keep on pushing. And in the right time, you will know what to do. Everything you need is already inside of you. You just have to commit to the right walk. You have to commit to the right path. You have to commit to the path of enlightenment, the path of change, the path of understanding yourself and why you do the things you do. But thank you for your time. I love you. I hope that you are able to gain peace and understanding and patience. And I can promise you, if you follow me, you will attain the life that your spirit truly wants. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your time and energy. Peace.